So recently I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw someone post about an Android phone. One of the best Android phones and one of the only, if not the only, Android phones that Apple actually features on their website. This got me thinking about the time where I switched from iPhone to Android. And the Android phone that pulled me was the HTC One M7. This phone was unlike any other Android phone at the time. Android phones were all plastic. A lot of them had removable backs, which a lot of people liked, but it took away a lot of that premium feel because the backs had to be plastic and removable. But HTC did something really daring. They put a huge priority on design. It's an all aluminum chassis, which was actually the first in a phone. They did this before Apple did. And not only did they prioritize design, but they really made this powerful. It had the top of the line specs. It had 2 gigabytes of RAM. You could get this with 32 or 64 gigs of storage. It had a 1920 by 1080 display. And this display was amazing. It was 4.7 inches, and this thing had solid colors. It was very much comparable with iPhones at the time, which I thought and a lot of other people thought had some of the best displays around. The interface was nice and smooth because they didn't put a huge skin on it. It debuted with HTC Sense, which was HTC's skin on top of Android, and it wasn't a super heavy skin, and it offered something that was really cool called Blink Feed, which when you switch to the side, gives you a feed that has all of your social networks, news feed. You could connect a bunch of different things. Right now, like nothing works. The only thing I can get is this like restaurant panel, but that's like the only thing that will work now because, you know, it's 10 years later. And I would legitimately scroll on my Blink feed instead of just like my Facebook or Instagram. You can connect all of those and have them in one spot, which I thought was really cool. This was a top of the line phone with the best design out of any Android smartphone at the time. Nothing compared to this. And it had some incredible speakers. As you can see, there's 2 pretty big speaker grills on this phone, and they're both front-facing stereo speakers. And these speakers are really comparable to phones nowadays, but at the time, nothing compared to this. No iPhone could beat it, no Samsung phone. It was next level good. And they actually partnered with Beats on it before Apple bought Beats. Whatever they did to fine-tune these speakers, they did a great job of it. Really full sounding, bass filling. This phone was just so fun to use. It was a great content consumption device. Videos looked amazing on the 1080p screen, and it was large. It was 4.7 inches. And I've been using this, just playing around on it, setting up different apps that I used to have on it. You know, playing with like launchers and stuff that I used to have. I really miss this screen size. I go to my iPhone, which is the smaller of the iPhone Pros, and it just feels massive. If they ever came up with an iPhone mini again with that 4.7 inch display, I would 100% get that. So anyway, back to the phone. I actually had gotten on eBay in amazing condition, might I add. It was an international model, and I got this for $28, and whoever had it last just kept it in perfect condition. I ended up selling my HTC One to get the iPhone 6 Plus, so I don't have my original one anymore, but this one is in way better condition than even my original one was. The camera on this one, there's something wrong with it, and even the model that I had, there was something a little funky about the camera, and this one just has it 10 times worse. Their main selling feature with this camera was ultra pixel. They made it only 4 megapixels. They would do a lot of sharpening in post. The point of the ultra pixel, or the only 4 megapixels, it was supposed to be really good in low light. At the time, the camera on this thing was pretty good. I'll show some photos from when I had the phone, and you know, you can judge for yourself. You know, it's also 2013, 2014, so they didn't look fantastic, but it was regardless a really good camera for at the time. So something else that's really cool too is this phone came with headphones, some HTC branded headphones, and these things were great. They were in-ear headphones. They had a flat wire, which at the time was awesome. I thought it was really cool, and they sounded really good. One of the downsides was the power button, actually. I did not like the placement of the power button. It was in a weird spot. It was in a spot that your finger wouldn't normally rest, and even playing with it now, my finger always wants to go in the opposite side of where it actually is. Having the power button on the side of the phone or flipping the position on the top, you know, would have been a lot better. But that's one thing that I remember not really liking about the phone. The HTC One was a really special phone, and not just for me, but for a lot of people. I remember watching reviews from MKBHD, Techno Buffalo, all of these tech YouTubers from back in the day, and they all loved this phone, and rightfully so. It's a fantastic phone, and even now I think it holds up with design. The screen is fantastic, the speakers are just amazing. And the design for Android phones was second to none. Amazing. And if I'm gonna be honest, Apple didn't get back into the game with design until the iPhone 10. In my opinion, I still thought this was better designed than the iPhones. I'd love to get my hands on the HTC One M8 and M9. I never had those, but I always watched reviews, and I was always a big fan of these tech channels. So it's kind of fun being able to buy these phones for $30 when they used to be hundreds of dollars back in the day, and getting to play around with them. And it just makes the teenager in me happy. So if you're ever really into tech YouTubers and stuff back in the day, and you really were into phones and that kind of tech, go on eBay, see how much these phones cost, try to find a decent one that still works, and just play around with it. It's a lot of fun. Having a phone with a timeless design like this is really cool and special to look back on. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.